welcome to the Bihar elections. I'm Fatima, and with some very thorough and detailed reports from the state, which is seeing some very exciting politics playing out right now ahead of the assembly elections. Please do send in any of your questions that you have pertaining to the ground sentiment in Bihar. Neelam has had some very thorough, detailed tour of that region, and she will be able to answer most of your questions. Please do keep sending them to us. Neelam, before we jump into the questions, just give us a sense of what you sensed there. You were there for
over 10 days.
Over 10 days.
So, this is something that now everyone is talking about, but I clearly experienced it. There is a very strong anti-Nitish, anti-CM Nitish Kumar sentiment on ground, and he has been in power for the past 15 years. So definitely one would expect anti-incumbency, but right now you see anger.
Right.
And that is very different from basic anti-incumbency. Another important factor is that many people are pointing out that he has been given 15 years. He had a lot of time to sort of transform Bihar, and many do admit that those who are now quite angry, they do admit to the fact that in the first 5 years, which is the 2010 period, he did work for Bihar. There were many projects, power situation improved, the roads were constructed in a better manner. However, they now feel that the most important issue is unemployment,
right.
And that is something that he has completely ignored. At the same time, why this is important is because if you look at the youth of Bihar, around 24% are between the age of 18 to 29, which is a big number.
Right.
A large chunk of them are unemployed. Because of the COVID situations, many of them who were in other cities working or studying, they had to come back. And now they are there, frustrated, wondering what will they do, what will be their future. So unemployment somehow as an issue is resonating amongst not only the young people, but at the same time, their parents, they are wondering what would be the future of their children. So unemployment somehow has become the major poll plank. As you would have seen RJD and Congress, they have been concentrating only on that. For instance, BJP has been talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the work that has been done in the past 5 years, how Bihar has been transformed, social security net that has been improved, what they have done for women empowerment. However, all now seems to boil down to one particular and most important factor, which I felt was unemployment and corruption. People are very upset over these two. Many also feel that in the past 5 years, Nitish Kumar seems to be a little, what would say that it is not him who is governing, but he has his people.
So distant.
Yes, and who are not giving him the right feedback. And again, you must have seen some of the speeches that Nitish Kumar himself has been making in a number of rallies. He is not the calm, composed, someone who was termed as the Susashan Babu. Right now, he seems like making statement which one would never expect from someone like him.
Right.
Where he questioned the fact that Tejashwi Yadav has a big family. At the same time, he is now again mentioning Jungle Raj narrative, which I feel has the potential to sort of shift votes to a bit. However, at the same time, if we look at the youth, they don't have any lived experience or memory of Jungle Raj, right? The millennials, for them, they are willing, and I met a number of students from colleges, and they said that what was there in the past, why should we use that to determine the present or the future?
Right.
So they are willing to give a chance to a new youth leader. Now, who is that youth leader? Is it Tejashwi? Is it Chirag Paswan? So I felt that as far as the youth is concerned, there was definitely a division between those who want to give Tejashwi a chance, but there are many who really want the BJP to come to power. They're saying that we would vote for LJP also because they feel there is a tacit understanding between the two.
Right.
So as far as these elections are concerned, one phase is already over. And we saw on these 70 seats the kind of feedback that I'm getting from even the BJP leaders. I spoke to them after the voting was over, and they said this was obviously for them the most tough phase. The next two would be a bit easier. They are considered their stronghold. And right now, the competition is between RJD and the Bharatiya Janata Party. As far as JDU is concerned, largely everyone seems to be, they seem to believe that it will come a distant third. So that is something very significant, that what has happened in the past 5 years, that the JDU graph is going to come down significantly.
Right. Okay, I'd like to remind our viewers watching this on YouTube, please do send us your questions. Meanwhile, we have a slew of questions from people, Twitter followers and Twitter users. All right, सबसे पहले, this is a question that's been coming in across a lot on Tejashwi Yadav actually. What according to you are the chances for Tejashwi forming a government in Bihar, and will that be possible without a coalition of the BJP? What are the chances of LJP switching sides to joining MGB if Tejashwi needs numbers? This is Aditya who's asking this question. He's basically implying what are the post-poll sort of negotiations that
once the results are out.
Yes.
Well, see, one thing I would definitely at the outset I would like to say is that, vote or no vote, Tejashwi has definitely emerged as a strong leader. He's just 31.
Right.
He has a long way to go. Somehow, he alone has been able to shift the narrative from, the host of things that were being said by the JDU and BJP alliance to the issue of unemployment and corruption. So you have to give him credit on that. At the same time, whether RJD on its own will be able to form the government seems difficult because of the Congress. Congress is contesting on 70 seats.
Yes.
Somehow people feel that, they shouldn't have been given these many seats. I mean, a lot of RJD leaders that I spoke to, they said that, they should have been given a little...
10, 15 less than
exactly. And so RJD is likely to do well. As I said, the fight is between RJD and the Bharatiya Janata Party. However, BJP will obviously be able to, post the results, will also be able to get the support of Chirag Paswan.
Right.
Chirag, you must have seen the narrative that he's trying to set is that I am with PM Modi. I will do what he will say. I am his Hanuman. Right? So in that respect, it will not be difficult to see a scenario where LJP will provide some sort of support to BJP and the JDU if required. At the same time, I would say that the election is still open. It is a close contest. Whoever will get a majority, it will be a thin majority. And at the same time, what is interesting is that in the fight between BJP and RJD, who is going to be number one? Who is going to get more votes as far as Bihar elections is concerned? So that is what is going to set the narrative as far as the next two phases are concerned. In the third phase, we will have a lot of seats which are dominated by the Muslim community.
Right.
Who are they going to vote is another important issue.
Right. There are in fact some questions pouring in on that. We have a third alliance of sorts also that was formed very close to the elections.
Yes.
In fact, BSP,
the Grand
RMSP,
Domestic Secular
exactly,
Front.
and AIMIM, and a lot of people, a lot of observers, political commentators, as well as detractors of the three parties were like, these will just serve to cut the so-called quote-unquote secular votes.
Right.
Did you get that sense? Do you think there is enough? I mean, would they even be able to get enough votes to cut the Mahagathbandhan's vote?
See, as far as, let's try and understand the Muslim vote, if I may call it. There are around 17%, Muslim constitute around 17% of the Bihar population. And if we look at 55 seats, then there are more than 25% of Muslim population in those 55 seats.
The Simachal region.
Yes, and that is the phase which is the third phase and a few in the second phase. What has made this, and they have generally in the past, they are considered the stronghold of the RJD. So they have largely, RJD gets the Muslim and the Yadav MY votes. However, this time you must have seen Owaisi that AIMIM, they are contesting on around 20 seats. So they have made the battle very interesting. If they do get the Muslim vote and it is split between RJD and let's say AIMIM, then who is going to benefit? Is it the BJP and the JDU candidate? So that is what is going to determine the future as far as Bihar is concerned. However, at the same time, RJD and Congress, I spoke to them also, and they said that they are quite mindful of the fact that Owaisi can cause a dent in their vote bank, and which is why they have put observers on each of these seats saying that you need to spread the message that he's only there to act as a vote cutter, something which is being used for Chirag Paswan also. So don't waste your vote. He's not going to come to power, he's not going to win the seat, but he will ensure that a BJP or a JDU candidate benefits from it. So that is definitely an interesting angle. At the same time, if you see that out of the 55 seats that I was talking about, RJD has, the Mahagathbandhan has fielded Muslim candidates on around 33 seats. So RJD on its own has fielded 17 Muslim candidates, Congress has fielded around 12 Muslim candidates, JDU too has fielded 12 Muslim candidates. So I would say that if OSC is able to, and he has been holding a lot of rallies, his rallies are getting a lot of good response. If he's able to convince the voters that their vote is not going to go waste, and at the same time the fact that he's the only one who's talking about CAA, he's the only one who's talking about NRC, issues which are important for the Muslim community, if that really works, then I would say it would be advantage BJP.
It would be advantage BJP, right? Now, a lot of conversation on the Dalit vote, the Muslim vote, but we have some questions pouring on the upper caste vote.
Yes.
Actually, S. Chaudhary is asking on YouTube, क्या upper caste vote Congress plus RJD को मिल सकता है? Do you think they have a strong hold here?
So,
because upper caste are also known to vote the BJP.
BJP. So yeah, exactly. If we look at the last 20 years, if I may say that, then there are three different political poles that have emerged. So as far as the BJP is concerned, it ends up getting the upper caste vote, the Bhumiyar and the non-Yadav OBC. At the same time, if we look at RJD, then it gets the Muslim and the Yadav votes. As far as JDU is concerned, it gets the Dalit, the Mahadalit and the EBC. This is how it has been in the past, yes, right, 20 years. But what is interesting to note is the fact that I pointed out earlier also, that the youth may emerge as a major disruptor. The youth is somehow talking about change. The youth is saying that caste affiliation, caste equation aside, I want change, I want jobs, I want development. If other parts of the country can develop, why not Bihar? At the same time, they're also aware of the fact that due to COVID-19 situation, job opportunities which were available in other parts of the country may not be as readily available. And hence, the promise of 10 lakh jobs, and that to government jobs, as Tejashwi Yadav has been talking about in all his major rallies, in his manifesto, they are willing to believe that, because it is not a promise, as Tejashwi himself said. I could have said 50 lakh also, I could have said 1 crore also, but I have said something which I can, which is something achievable. And why 10 lakh? Because 4.5 lakh are the current vacancies in the government, and the rest, he said, we will generate in food processing industry or other sugar mill industry that have been lying shut.
So he explained that number.
Exactly. So the youth, youth always ask questions, and Tejashwi seems to be answering those. He's willing to at least answer those. And as you said, the upper caste vote, I feel that a section of the youth will, and upper caste youth, I'm saying, they will definitely
adhere to caste affiliations.
Right? They will definitely adhere to the caste affiliation, also because of the Jungle Raj narrative that is now being talked about vehemently by the BJP. If you saw the rallies of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he called him the Yuvraj of Jungle Raj, and he was referring to Tejashwi Yadav. And at the same time, the experts that I spoke to, they also said that it's fine that the youth may not have experienced it firsthand, but sometimes the oral history, the oral
folklore,
memory,
right.
Yes, that also has this potential to serve as the same impact as a lived experience. So he definitely they definitely say that this could impact a section of the upper caste vote. They might feel that we don't want that same Jungle Raj to come back again. At the same time, there was one small video that is now being circulated unofficially by the BJP, where in a rally Tejashwi Yadav is talking about that you remember the time when Lalu Prasad Yadav used to be there, aap log सीना तान के चलते थे. And then he goes on to say that हमें सबको साथ लेके चलना है. But somehow the edited clip is now doing the round, where people are saying that this is what Bihar will go back to if you vote for RJD. So this narrative somehow, the Jungle Raj narrative, is now visible on ground, something which was not there before when I was there. But towards the end, I definitely felt that, there was a section that was willing to, buy that narrative. So I will definitely say that a section of upper caste youth, they will definitely be affected by the Jungle Raj narrative, and they may give BJP and JDU a chance once again, despite not being very happy with the work.
Right. Lots of questions on Twitter actually asking how true is it, is the argument that Modi is the vote getter for NDA and not Nitish Kumar in this particular election? And secondly, is Tejashwi Yadav able to overcome the image of Jungle Raj carried by his parents? You have already answered that. But the first question that, is it true that Modi is ultimately who people will be voting for if they vote for the NDA this time around?
See, as far as my ground reportage is concerned, if we look at the district that I visited Vaishali district, I visited Nalanda, I went to a number of constituencies, Patna district.
You went to Nitish Kumar's village?
Nitish Kumar's village. And one thing that I found was that even as people are upset with Nitish, even as people are angry with the JDU, but as far as PM Modi is concerned, his image is intact.
His popularity
remains. And people were using words like Lajawab for him, that he's working selflessly for the nation. But at the same time, many of them also said that we understand this is not an election of the center.
Yes, not a Lok Sabha election.
We are not choosing PM Modi here. This is an assembly election. So many were also distinguishing between the two. But largely I felt that while there was anger against Nitish Kumar, people were okay with the BJP, the functioning of the BJP. And if you see the way both the parties are contesting, it's more or less similar numbers. So what BJP is concerned about is that while they may be able to perform very well, the JDU might not, and that can pull the total number down. So that is what they are concerned about. Many are also saying that Chirag Paswan may be able to cause a dent as far as JDU is concerned, because he's contesting on around 138-39 seats, and apart from 5 or 6, all these candidates are pitted against JDU. So he is definitely, if you look at Paliganj for instance, Mrs. Vidyarthi, who earlier used to be with the BJP, she's contesting on an LJP ticket, and that has made the situation very, very difficult for the candidate there, the coalition candidate there, because even the BJP cadre is working for Mrs. Vidyarthi, obviously unofficially, because they're like, after the result they may come back to us. Why should we work for a JDU candidate? At the same time, another important issue that has emerged as far as these elections are concerned, you might see a lot of independent candidates winning. So for instance, in one of the Vaishali district, one of the constituencies, people were upset over the fact that both the coalition, RJD as well as BJP and JDU, they fielded Muslim candidates. So they said that we will vote for an independent candidate who happens to be a former HUM member. Then there are other independent candidates or LJP, so they are willing to give even them a chance. So as far as Bihar elections are concerned, I feel that a lot of activities would actually start post the result. Who will be able to manage the numbers? Because as I said, that it seems to me that it is going to be a close contest.
Really a close contest. Now, one interesting question here: what do you make of the Election Commission's conduct in this election? Do you think it has conducted itself fairly? It constantly gets a lot of criticism, flag, especially from the opposition parties. It is called partisan more often than not. What do you make of that? Do you think that's the correct allegation?
As far as the Election Commission concerned, they had talked about the fact that COVID-19 guidelines should be followed strictly. Well, I would say that none of the COVID-19 guidelines are being followed at all in all these political rallies. Forget about distance that is being maintained. People don't even wear masks. Definitely BJP rallies, they're trying to put up chairs and give them sanitizers and masks, but there is no way that the Election Commission is able to monitor it, whether people are actually doing it or not. You must have seen that RJD has now recently filed a complaint with the Election Commission saying that they feel that Tejashwi Yadav is not getting the kind of security cover that he should get, and his rallies it may lead to a stampede situation. So as far as election rallies are concerned, you would feel that there is no COVID in Bihar, because political parties across, the spectrum, none of them seem to be following the guidelines as far as elections are concerned.
Okay. Shubham Bageshwar is asking, is there any effect of the rallies by Rahul Gandhi?
So I would say that Rahul is not really a factor as far as these elections are concerned. These are elections. These are RJD's election. I would say this is all about Tejashwi Yadav as far as the opposition is concerned. I mean, unlike PM Modi, where BJP really banks on PM Modi and they expect him to change the mood in their favor. Rahul rallies, they did get a good response. If you will see the posters or the manifesto of RJD and the Mahagathbandhan, you don't even see the pictures of Lalu Yadav or Rabri Yadav, because they feel that this will remind the people of the the jungle Raj narrative that the BJP has been focusing on, and BJP has been criticizing them that why are they missing from your posters? Are you scared that this may remind people of the work that Lalu Yadav actually did? So as far as these elections are concerned, Bihar elections are concerned, the opposition is Tejashwi.
Right. A lot of questions coming in on the possibility of a BJP-LJP government. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but BJP so far hasn't categorically distanced itself from Chirag Paswan and LJP. A lot of noise coming from the ground saying that JDU would expect that BJP wouldn't categorically do that, since, Chirag Paswan has been rallying against the JDU, has been fielding candidates against the JDU. So, what is happening there? Can you just declutter that for us?
So, as far as, Chirag Paswan is concerned, we also interviewed him, and we categorically asked him that what would he do post the result. So he's very clear that he's definitely with the BJP, despite the fact that Union Home Minister Amit Shah, or you see the General Secretary of BJP Bhupendra Yadav, they have been making statements that we have no links with LJP. Our chief ministerial candidate is Nitish Kumar. If you see Nirmala Sitharaman during the manifesto launch, she also reiterated the fact that Nitish Kumar will be the CM, is the CM candidate, and he will be the CM for 5 years, because there was this conspiracy theory during the round that BJP might not have him for the entire period of 5 years, and they might have a BJP CM. At the same time, why so much of this is being talked about is because Chirag Paswan has been claiming that he is in a coalition, unofficial coalition with the BJP, and he will support a BJP CM. So definitely on ground, people are confused, and people are willing to believe that Chirag Paswan has the blessing of the BJP and PM Modi unofficially, because so far they haven't said anything very critical as far of Chirag Paswan as far as these elections are concerned, apart from these basic statements that we are with Nitish Kumar and Nitish Kumar will be our CM. So definitely there's something brewing out there, which we will obviously get to know only once the results are out.
Right. Neelam, there is a sense that people right now, a lot of people asking whether this particular election, it is, like you said, there's a thin margin. Do you think it's too close to call? And do you think right now, like you said, most of the things will happen post the election results? Compared to the previous elections that we have seen in the last year or so, what significant difference do you see? I mean, of course, the fact that this is happening under COVID-19, there's a pandemic going on right now, but besides that, do you think there is a significant difference that you can sense, especially vis-a-vis the BJP's popularity, or how BJP would often emerge as a clear winner in a lot of elections, or there was this sense, at least this perception? Do you think that perception is shifting?
Well, honestly, if you look at the past few assembly elections, BJP hasn't really won. So, somehow this perception is always there that they will do well, which they may. But at the same time, I feel women voters are going to be a significant, as far as these elections are concerned. They might act as a silent voter. Now, if we look at the past few elections, then women voters have really helped Nitish Kumar, come to power. And he has delivered as far as women empowerment is concerned. He had the the Yojana to give out cycles, at the same time reservation in government jobs, and he has been even if you look at prohibition, that was only done because women protested, they carried out demonstration. But at the same time, if you go today, you find that prohibition is only in name. Everything is available illegally and it is being home delivered. something that is, really making the women upset, because not only are you spending more, but at the same time, your child is unemployed, he's indulging in this illegal trade. If he's caught, or or the husband is caught for 6 months, the family has no income.
So it's worse off than what it was before.
Exactly. And at the same time, another important issue is that, women empowerment, women who got support from Jivika as a welfare scheme, that was only supplementary in nature. So women are saying that, my husband doesn't have a job, my son doesn't have a job, I do not know how he will get education, what will be his future. So how exactly, when on the day they vote, what will weigh upon their mind? Will they go by what has happened in the past 15 years, or what they see is the ground reality today? So women voters are definitely going to have an impact as far as these elections are concerned. And what is going in BJP's favor is the fact that BJP is hoping that the Yadav Muslim consolidation will actually ensure that people come back to them. And I also found that the Tina factor is definitely there. People were critical of Nitish Kumar, even in his own village. They said, he has not done this, there is corruption, he doesn't come, his MLAs don't come to the village anymore. But at the end of the day, they said that, if not him, then who?
So they don't see Tejashwi as an alternative?
No, a section does. A section does. But I'm saying that apart from the Yadav and the Muslims, if the BJP succeeds in positioning the opposition, the RJD, as only a Yadav leader, then definitely there is a possibility that NDA will have an edge. However, as I said, it is the youth and the women. They are going to determine. If they decide to back Tejashwi, then he definitely has a chance.
Right, and you are saying there is a sense that they are emerging as a caste-neutral constituency of
yes,
sorts.
yes, definitely.
All right, Neelam, thank you so much for joining us. Please do follow our reports. You can log into ThePrint's.in and you can see the coverage that Neelam has done from Bihar. Please do keep following us. Like Neelam said, that this particular election, things are changing as we speak.
Yes.
With every phase, new details, new interesting facets are emerging. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching.